So, was this right here the biggest blunder of the 2024 election cycle?
He never has spoken to them or taken a meeting with them.
Well, they did meet with them during the dignified transfer.
Because of
they were with them at the dignified transfer.
Her and Joe Biden's incompetence that those 13 Americans were killed in Afghanistan.
Moment, and it was with two individuals, mainly President Trump, that has supported us and loved us and had us at his Bedminster in Mar-a-Lago to sit down with us and share in our pain.
So even with everything you guys just saw, it still takes a special type of stupid human being to put out a tweet essentially, let's just say it was a tweet. It was a statement that heavily implies that the Gold Star families are a part of a political stunt. Now, guys, before we talk about that, I want to just go ahead and kind of get something out of the way. I haven't been on the past few days. As many of you guys already know, I recently had surgery. Obviously, it was successful. I wanted to get this video out originally on Monday, or I wanted to get an updates video out. However, I decided to just kind of include some updates at the very, very end. Not much to talk about, just say the plan for the rest of the year as far as the Claymore channel is concerned. Still, that right there being said, obviously you guys can see surgery was successful. I'm back home. I'm ready to get back to work, and that right there is what we're going to be doing. This right is going to be the first of two videos that will be released on Tuesday afternoon. Still, though, before we get started, make sure you guys go to your phones. Make sure you guys go ahead and cut on notifications so that way you guys are notified when these videos come out. Also, to go on top of that, make sure you guys are hitting that like button for the algorithm. To go on top of that there, if you guys are new here, make sure you guys hit subscribe if you're not subscribed here, or you can if you want to. Still, though, make sure the notifications are on so that way we can beat the censorship, and let's go ahead and get into it. A week ago, Trump went to Arlington National Cemetery to do the changing of the guard ceremony. He was invited by the Gold Star families, the 11 Marines who died at Abbey Gate, the one soldier, and of course the naval corpsmen that were all killed under the watch of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Biden, of course, is still sitting at a beach as I'm recording this video. Of course, this little video that I showed you guys, that you guys are seeing in the B-roll footage, obviously it's been circulating around for the past couple of days. But still, though, nobody has heard from Joe Biden here recently, even though, of course, he's still the president, even though he's not running for re-election. It's still kind of odd that we've not heard anything from him. Many people are even beginning to speculate whether they even help Harris out in Pennsylvania. But still, though, it's a little bit odd. However, the story here is about the Gold Star families and Kamala Harris's blunder of, let's just say, this tweet she decided to put out that I'm going to be reading for you guys here in a second. Now, guys, really quick, bear with me really quick. Not the best in the world when it comes to reading, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. Just kind of some new things that we're going to be doing, stuff I normally don't do in my videos, I'm going to be doing now. So let's go ahead and look at the tweet. Oh, before I read the tweet, I want to go ahead and say this right now. In no way, shape, or form should this ever be political. However, the thing is this right here. If the families invited you there, meaning if the families invited the former president to the cemetery and the changing of the guard was done, then therefore it's really not political. However, what is political is saying that it's political and then turning right back around after that and releasing a statement to heavily imply that the parents themselves wanted to make it political. Especially given the fact that their sons and daughters died on your watch. They died on your watch. Remember that. They died on Biden and Harris's watch. By the way, it was Biden and Harris who chose to have Bagram Air Force Base shut down, leading to the disaster, which was Abbey Gate. But let's get to the tweet. Okay, so let's go ahead and read this. As Vice President, I have had the privilege of visiting Arlington National Cemetery several times. It is a solemn place, a place where we can come together to honor American heroes who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to this nation. It's not a place for politics, and yet, as was reported this week, Donald Trump's team chose to film a video there, resulting in an altercation with cemetery staff. Let me be clear, the former president disrespected sacred ground, all for the sake of a political stunt. Okay, problem number one. It's been revealed that the family, of course, came out and said that they invited the former president to be there. Let me go ahead and play this for you guys.
To Arlington. Her son, Marine Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover, died at Abbey Gate. What would you say to people who may be pro-Trump, anti-Trump, whatever their politics might be, who just feel like that's not a place for politicians or for politics?
I would have to say, are you in my shoes? I invited him. My son was murdered under the Biden-Harris administration.
Again, we asked the Trump team to take the videos, take the pictures of our time there. President Trump then laid a wreath at the grave side of Army Staff Sergeant Ryan Christian Canals. There he talked to both his mother and father
for the death of our 13 kids. You have failed for 3 years and 8 months to acknowledge our kids, to acknowledge me. You don't know me. You've never spoken to me. You've never reached out to me. You have failed in your duties as vice president.
Blame for that as well. What happened at Arlington was President Trump was invited by those families who have their soldiers buried at Arlington. They were invited there as a friend, as somebody who has taken the time.
That right there was just a small compilation of what's been shared on Twitter, and of course you also that lady who actually was on MSNBC. However, the mother-in-law of Staff Sergeant Nicole G., I think she's the one who really clamped down on this the hardest. Let me play this for you.
I did both President Trump and the Biden-Harris administration, and we didn't hear back from the White House. We were happy to welcome President Trump to lay wreaths with all three of our families and our wounded, some of our wounded from that day. And when he came to Section 60, it was at our request to spend time with our loved ones. There was not a press presence there. We privately took pictures among ourselves. And it was, a more celebratory feeling for that day because, we want to celebrate our loved ones, and it's very hard to find ways to do that. At a cemetery, but they were very respectful. We didn't see any altercation, and really we just want our loved ones to be honored and remembered in a positive way.
That would be correct. Both Biden and Harris were invited to go to the changing of the guard ceremony, but they chose not to do it. We'll talk more about that on the other side, but let's just go ahead and reread the rest of this. A man who has called our fallen service members suckers and losers and disparaged Medal of Honor recipients. That right there, of course, has been debunked. I don't think I need to go through that, but John Bolton, of all people, debunked that. But look, this is an election year. You're going to keep hearing this nonsense, but let's continue. A man who, during a previous visit to the cemetery, reportedly said of fallen service members, "I don't get it. What was in it for them?" This is a man who is unable to comprehend anything other than service to himself. That's kind of rich coming from Kamala Harris, who basically spent her entire career being horizontal to go vertical. Don't get me started. If there is one thing on which we as Americans can all agree, it is that our veterans, military families, and service members should be honored, never disparaged, and treated with nothing less than our highest respect. And meet this simple, sacred duty should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States. I will always honor the service and sacrifice of all of America's fallen heroes who have made the ultimate sacrifice on behalf of our beloved nation and our cherished freedoms. I mourn them and salute them. I will never politicize them. You kind of sort of just did by saying that this prayer was a political stunt, even though that the former president was obviously invited to go to the changing of the guard ceremony by the Gold Star families. Basically what this was good old-fashioned shameless out of the Harris campaign. However, this is something that more than likely will backfire. I mean, even the mainstream media cannot cover for this. But then again, like I said, though, when the hell has the media never stopped covering for Democrats? The same subject of Kamala Harris disrespecting these Gold Star families came up in conversation between Tom Cotton and Kristen Welker. Let me go ahead and play some of this for you guys now.
As Senator, is it ever appropriate to make campaign content at military gravesites?
He didn't take campaign photos there. These families, Gold Star families, whose children died because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's incompetence, invited him to the cemetery. And they asked him to take those photos because, as they told me yesterday, when I spoke to Kelly Barnett and Darren Hoover, the parents of Taylor Hoover, who has Arkansas ties, to go to the beach on Labor Day. They don't get to have barbecues. This is their one chance to have a memory of their children, to commemorate their service and to honor their sacrifice. They wanted President Trump there. They wanted to take those photos. You know who the families also invited? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Where were they? Joe Biden was sitting at a beach. Kamala Harris was sitting at her mansion in Washington, D.C. She was 4 miles away. 10 minutes. She could have gone to the cemetery and honored the sacrifice of those young men and women. But she hasn't. She never has spoken to them or taken a meeting with them.
Well, they did meet with them during the dignified
it's
transfer.
Because of
they were with them at the dignified transfer.
Her and Joe Biden's incompetence, those 13 Americans were killed in Afghanistan.
Cut into this halfway through, but I chose to just kind of let it play all the way through. And of course, NBC is now being forced to take some things back that they've said, as you guys can obviously see here in the B-roll footage. Kristen Welker, not an honest person, never has been an honest person, and of course, we all know that the mainstream media is dishonest as hell. Now, many people are stunned that the mainstream media is still carrying water for Kamala Harris at this moment in time, given her blunder, but still at the same time, I honestly am not surprised. Does it bother me that what happened? Yes, it does, especially as a veteran. And something else, too, I need to go ahead and say is that Tom Cotton, while, yes, he is a senator, is also a U.S. Army veteran who's been to Iraq and Afghanistan both. I only got to go to Iraq twice. Still, though, the point is this right here. It's obviously pretty disrespectful for Kamala Harris to sit here and run her mouth about this, especially given the fact that the 11 Marines, the 1 corpsman, and the 1 soldier, they died on their watch. I mean, I don't know how many times I got to remind people that she was the last person in the room. But of course, you know, Trump has already got an ad out about this. The fact of the matter is this right here. This right was absolutely 100% disrespectful for Kamala Harris. And at the same time, not only was it disrespectful, it was also pretty freaking stupid. Now, many people are already saying that this right is the equivalent of what Michael Dukakis did back in the 1988 election when he chose to ride around in a tank when his record as governor of Massachusetts wasn't exactly the record of a tough guy. But still, at the same time, all politics aside, you would understand why it is that these families would be upset. I mean, they lost their sons and their daughters on your watch. I mean, you could have at least shown up to Arlington National Cemetery and maybe stood beside the former president. Maybe a bit of unity saying that regardless what happens, we'll unify afterwards, something like that. It probably would have been good for you. But you obviously chose to go low when you definitely needed to go high. And Tom Cotton is not the only military veteran who, quite frankly, is how do I say, in the government or has been in the government that's kind of sounded off about this. Dana Bash, you know, Kamala Harris, the person that Kamala Harris had a sit-down interview with the other day. Of course, she had Tim Walz with it because Kamala, quite frankly, sucks and she needs a support animal. So why not bring in Tim, Tampon Tim, who, by the way, we all know has his own stolen valor issues. But still, at the same time, though, Tulsi Gabbard would have a conversation with Dana Bash the other day, and the same topic would come up. Here's a bit of it.
In Iraq and Afghanistan are buried, used it in a campaign video. The Army also says that Trump staffers abruptly pushed aside a cemetery official who tried to enforce Arlington's rules prohibiting political activities. I know you were with Trump at least earlier in that day at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Did you witness the altercation at Section 60?
I was there from the beginning with the laying of the wreaths with the family members, the Gold Star family members, and some of the survivors of that terrorist in that disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. I was with them at Section 60, and what I saw was a very grave and somber remembrance and honoring of those lives that were lost. And I saw President Trump spending time at the invitation of these Gold Star families with them. He was there for a few hours. I did not see or hear about any kind of altercation until something came out in the news later on. The families were there grieving alongside President Trump, and it was a very special moment to really remember their names, remember their memories, and understand.
I did not say this before. This right here should not be political. But let's go ahead and be honest. They always try to use veterans as a bit of a prop. A great example of this would be the PACT Act. Now, the PACT Act, a lot of guys are complaining about this, but I remember doing a video a while back about this when Jon Stewart basically came out and decided he wanted to run his mouth on against Ted Cruz, even though Ted Cruz was just simply trying to tell people that maybe we should try, I don't know, maybe slimming the bill so that way it's not so pork-filled. So that way, it's a bill designed just for veterans and veterans alone. Just simply saying. By the way, Jon Stewart coming out and thinking he could speak on the behalf of veterans is kind of a joke, especially given his past. Just, these people love to make things that, quite frankly, should not be political. And, of course, this was a situation that probably should not have been political. But still, at the same time, though, if the parents invited the former president to be there, and they also invited the current president and the current vice president, but yet the current vice president and president basically said, piss off, then yeah, I probably would be upset too. So no, it does not look political on the Trump side. It looks ultra political on the Harris side. But let's watch the rest of this.
The true cost of war and the consequences of the decisions that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden made in the execution of that withdrawal.
Yeah, and it is very clear that the former president was invited in his personal capacity, as you said, by a family of one of the service members who was killed about 2 years ago during the withdrawal from Afghanistan.
It was 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
3 years ago to the day on August 26th.
Yes.
One last thing on this, because
Please.
I think it's important, and I've seen a lot of the headlines and the stories and the concerns that people are raising about this. But to me, as a soldier and as someone who has been deployed to different war zones in the world, and I have friends who are buried there at Section 60, what is more outrageous to me is that there wasn't universal coverage of the momentous day of the third anniversary of the loss of these 13 Gold Star families, and the outrage that they feel that their loved ones are not getting the kind of coverage and memory that their great sacrifice deserves. That is what everyone should be outraged about.
Guys, I let that last bit run just a little bit longer. I think there's something that Tulsi's hitting on that, quite frankly, should have been hit on a long time ago. When this incident occurred, when this ordeal actually happened, a lot of people just didn't want to mention the fact that the Trump administration had actually gotten the Taliban to agree to a conditions-based withdrawal, meaning that we were going to withdraw depending on the conditions on the ground. That withdrawal was supposed to start in May of 2021. Biden comes in office and they want it pushed out to September the 11th of 2021 to make it like 20 years to the dot, which, by the way, just simply denotes the fact that they just simply wanted a photo op. So it's kind of rich hearing these people complain about photo ops, given the fact that this entire situation involving the botched withdrawal in Afghanistan was their photo op, especially given the fact that that's what they wanted. They wanted that so that way they could take some form of a victory. These are people who love to screw things up, then come right back around, put a Band-Aid on it and say they fixed it. And of course, there are also people who know that the media is going to cover for them, regardless what the hell they say or do. So therefore, they automatically feel like they have carte blanche to basically do whatever the hell it is that the mainstream media allows them to do. I said mainstream media allows them to do. In reality, it's what we allow them to do, because at the end of the day, we still have voting power and we can get these people out, and I advise you guys do so. Look, this type of attitude that Harris exhibited here, this type of attitude that Biden is exhibiting at this moment in time, is exactly what the hell they think of you. It's exactly what the hell they think of those who actually serve this country. Just another body to put inside of a uniform to send overseas. That's how these people operate. They don't think about the actual people involved. They don't think about the people in charge. There's one of those pictures or one of those videos that was in the B-roll footage. I showed you guys some of that earlier that I'm going to play in full at the very end to end the video after the updates, because I think this guy actually hit it on the head. And he was talking about the fact that right now this country needs an actual leader. Trump was invited because he's a leader. Where it is, these people obviously know that Kamala Harris is an absolute joke, disrespectful, and doesn't care about people around her, doesn't care about the men and women who serve this nation. And Biden, of course, he still can't get it right that Beau Biden died here in the United States instead of dying overseas, because, of course, Joe Biden has to tell us every chance he gets that Beau Biden died in the war when obviously he did not. Basically, what this was good old-fashioned shameless out of the Harris campaign. However, this is something that more than likely will backfire. I mean, even the mainstream media cannot cover for this. But then again, like I said, though, when the hell has the media never stopped covering for Democrats? So two things. Number one, this was the type of heartless leadership you would get out of Kamala Harris if she's president. Number two, the media will obviously go out of its way to, how do I say, cover for it. This right here is who the hell these people are. I think it's about time that America wakes up and sees this. Now, you'll hear me talk about this again here in a second, but let me give you guys a couple of quick updates before we end this video. We're at the very end of the year, and obviously I just came out of surgery, and obviously you've got recovery, all that type of stuff there, and thank you guys for sticking with me as long as you have. What I'm probably going to do for the rest of this year here on this channel here is continue to obviously post the videos that I'm posting. I'm definitely going to include more of my old type sports type stuff. Definitely start focusing more on that there in pop culture. But still, though, it is the election. Of course, it is an election year. What I would expect, however, is that these videos will probably be a little bit shorter. I'm trying to bring the videos back down to like 15 minutes or less. You'll probably see that with video number 2. It might be a little bit longer than I want it to be. It's a follow-up to the situation involving the Venezuelan gangs in Aurora, Colorado. Obviously, I want to make this video right here just a little bit shorter, but expect that out of me for the rest of the year. I'll give you guys another set of updates a little bit later on in the week to kind of let you guys know how other things are going to go. Because what I'm probably going to do is just start putting the video essays I wanted to do, just start putting them on a different channel altogether. I don't want to overload myself, but seeing how it is that I've got to do a lot more outside the house, it actually allows me still enough time to be able to do what it is that I need to do. These videos right here that I'm making for you guys now, they don't really take that long to do. But of course, I'm still wanting to kind of shorten the time of it because I know a lot of you guys are working, you got jobs and stuff. And I think that I can probably do, I'll put it this way here. I think I can get a lot more concise, good points, let you guys know what the hell is going on, give you guys the explanation in much, much shorter amounts of time. Sometimes it feels like I just drone on. And of course, I know that just turns people off. But of course, at the end of the day, it's what you guys think, because obviously you guys have subscribed to my content. But still, though, let me know in the comment section how you feel about that. Now, I'm going to end the video with the full Twitter video from one of the Gold Star families to end the video, because I think he hit the nail right on the head with this. Still, though, make sure you guys please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, tell me what you think, and I'll see you guys later.
To address a heinous, vile, and disgusting post put out by Kamala Harris, trying to incite those that don't follow the truth that President Trump was in Arlington as a political stunt. Shows you how much you know about the 13 families. We invited him to be there. Groundwork was put into place by Congressman Ice's office to make sure we followed protocol. Why did we want Trump there? It wasn't to help his political campaign. We wanted a leader. That explains why you and Joe didn't get a call. Imagine for a second that your kid is killed, and there's a president of the United States willing to take you under his wing and listen to you. That's what we found in President Trump. Certainly not you, and certainly not Joe Biden. You have 13 families who have been waiting over 3 years to so much as get a phone call, to so much as hear our kids' names said aloud in the halls of Congress, at a State of the Union, hell, anything. The irony behind your post, that you give a rat's ass about our military or our veterans, Jared's brothers and sisters in arms, the rest of the 12, their brothers and sisters in arms, is an outright lie. We're living proof of that. You're despicable. You have zero business running this country. And I pray to God, Americans, wake the hell up and get your ass out of office. You have spit in our face for the last fucking time.